Okay, we're going to do this again. You got 4 problems on your own. Now, 3 of the 4 are blocked. 1 is not. Okay? The ones that are blocked have 2 answers from the table. The one that's not blocked, there'll be just 1. Okay, so that's a 6, by the way. So, again, the power blocks the rainbows. Put a 1 in front, but that's on block. So we replace that with H. So what does H have in front? It's going to have a 6. What power is it to? The second equals 42. So I make my table. And in that table, I put 1x minus 4. Because that's what H equals, okay? Now, first I'm going to get H to the second by itself. Then I will be able to find what H is, okay? So I dot and circle. There's no plus or minus, so I go straight to the division step, because the division, after the division, I'll know what H to the second power is. So 42, excuse me, divided by 6 is 7. Now, 7 is not on my list, so I need to figure out what the square root is on the calculator. That's what tells you what number times itself is 7. It's a decimal. And that's 2.64. You could also go 65. I come back here. I put 2.64, negative 2.64. So I dot my x and circle. So I plus 4. 2.64 plus 4 is 6.64. Divide by 1, and that keeps us at 6.64. And then I plus 4, so 1 dot x. By the way, if you're wondering how I do that in my head, I add the 2, I pretend that's not there. I add 2 to 4, which is 6, and then just put the 0.64 behind it. This is harder to do mentally, so negative 2.64 plus 4 is 1.36. Divide by 1, and that's my answer. Okay, because those will always have 2 answers. Why? Because you see it's a second power. Okay. Now this one right here is a little bit different. Okay, once again, you put a 1 there. Okay, if you don't have a number, but you can't go through in a 1 here. You probably want an outside number. If you don't have one, you put 1. So I'm blocked with that 2. So I use H. Now H this time has a 1 in front, because I can always put a 1 there. That's the only number I'm kind of allowed to just put there if I was my go-to. A second power equals 5. Now I need this table because I eventually need to bring back the 1x minus 3. That doesn't just go away, okay? We're just replacing it to split the problem into some simpler parts. So dot and circle. Again, there's no plus or minus. We can go straight to dividing. And again, I want to know what h squared equals first, and then what h equals. 5 divided by 1 is 5, so h to the second equals 5. Now 5 is not in that list, so I need to find the square root. Okay. So the square root of 5, so I go second, 4 keys up, 5, and that's get in the habit of putting 2 parentheses right there, because when you do your quadratic formula, you don't want to lose that. So that's 2.24 and negative 2.24. Then I dot my x and circle, and then I plus 3, plus 3. Now 2 plus 3 is 5, and I just put 0.24, and I divide by 1, and that's 5.24. Plus 3, plus 3. So negative 2.24 plus 3 is 0.76. I divide by 1, and that keeps me at 0.76. Okay, my next problem. Again, there's that power out right after the parentheses. So, H, so 4H, put a power of 2 behind it, and then minus 2, and then equals 38. Okay. So, this is for when I bring back my 1x plus 2. Slap a 1 in front of the x. Okay. Because you know you're going to dot and circle, but you need to find out what goes over here. So we're going to get the h squared by itself, and then I'll be able to figure out what h is. So I plus 2, that's 40. Just underline it, put 40. Because otherwise, if you rewrite the whole thing, I'm worried you're going to forget about the second power. We can't do that. And then divide by the dotted number. So it's going to be 40 divided by 4. Now, after I divide, I know what h to the second equals, and that's 10. Now, is 10 in that row? Nope. So I have to figure out what the square root is on my calculator. That cancels, and that's how h gets by itself. The square root and the second power kind of cancel each other. And then I go second, fourth key up, 10, double the parentheses. Okay, get in that habit. 3.16, okay? So I could have the positive or the negative, okay? So now I minus 2. Now 3 minus 2 is 1, so that would be 1.16, and divided by 1, I'm still at 1.16. Okay, subtract 2. That's a little harder to do in your head. Negative 5.16. Divide by our 1. And that is negative 5.16. Okay. Now, this is not on block. Okay. Sorry, I should have put block up there. Sorry. Because there's no power. Well, then I can go ahead and multiply. So, and I don't need the table either. 4 times 1x is 4x, and then just put the subtraction sign, and 4 times 3 is 12, equals 36. Now dot your x just like you normally would. Plus 12, plus 12. So that's 48. And then I got to undo the times 4 by dividing, and that's your answer. You don't square root on this problem. After you divide, you have your answer. So 48 divided by 4 is 12. Okay. Again, because there's no second power there, there's just the one answer. Okay, moving right along. Parentheses is there, but so is the power, so I'm on block. So I replace that with h. So h is going to have a 2 as its dotted number. It's going to be to the second power, and then we can just go to equals 18. There's no plus or minus outside the bubble. Then I make my table, and I put 1x minus 4. Now, I don't know what goes over there until I get my crap straightened with h to the second, and that takes me to h. So dot and circle. You don't have to plus or minus. You go straight to the divide. Now, 18 divided by 2 is 9, so h to the second would equal 9. And 9's on my chart here, so I know 3, 3, so it's 3. So I could be at 3 or negative 3. So I plus 4, and 4 plus 3 is 7. Divided by 1 keeps it at 7. And then I plus 4 to negative 3. And negative 3 plus 4 is 1, so 1 dot x equals 1. Then I divide by 1. And 1 divided by 1 is 1. Okay, I don't see the power there, so we're not blocked. I go through with the rainbows. So there's one answer, and you don't square root. So that's 5x minus 5 times 2 is 10, and then minus the 6 equals 32. Okay, so I dot my x, circle it. Now I have two minuses to undo. I'm going to undo both of them at the same time. So plus 6, but before I add those, I need to also plus 10 and plus 10. Now take 32 plus 6 plus 10, and that's 48. And then I can divide by the 5. And that's your answer. You don't square root, okay, because there's no second power. 48 divided by 5 is 9.6. So you can get a decimal for the x, that's fine. See, I solve for x here. I don't need to do anything over here, okay, if we're not blocked. Okay, next one. I spot the second power, so that puts me on block. So bring in the capital H. You could use any letter. I just use H. It's my last name. I made up this strategy. Now it's to the second power equals 18. Now again, when I bring in that new variable, I'm always going to need to do my chart. Okay, there's always two sides because the second power means there's two answers. So at 1x minus 4. And you can dot and circle that right now. You don't know what it equals. So that's why you got to find the h to the second, and then that allows you to find the h itself. So dot the plus or minus, can't undo it. Then divide by your 3. And 18 divided by 3 is 6, so I put 6. Now 6 is not in the line of numbers, so I need to find the square root on my calculator. Okay. So I go second, 4 keys up, 2 parentheses, and then 6. So 2.44 or 2.45. So this is one side. The other side, again, those also could be the negative times themselves. So I add 4. Now 2 plus 4 is 6.44. And then divide by the 1. And 6.44 divided by 1 is 6.44. So plus 4, plus 4. And then I take negative 2.44 plus 4, and that's 1.56. Okay, and then the last one. The second power's there. That puts it on block. So replace the expression in the whole parentheses with the capital H. Now H will have a dotted number of 5. And it will be to the second power, and then I subtract 3, and then equals 32. All other operations stay there. It's just that parentheses that goes away. So then I'll need to make my table, and that's where I will solve for x. So 1x plus 6, 1x plus 6. So the dotted number's a 1, but I got to find what goes over here, and I don't know that until I solve for the h variable. Okay, so plus 3, so that's 35. Now I'm not done because I have to divide by the 5, and then I always divide before I go fill this out. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. So what number times itself is 7? I don't know unless I use a calculator. So I find the square root of 7. So I go second, 4th key up, 7. 2.64. So I can be at 2.64 or negative 2.64. So I minus the 6. That one's hard to do in your heads with the subtraction. So 2.64 minus 6 is negative 3.36. Dividing by our 1 then keeps us at negative 3.36. Okay. And then minus 6, so 1.x. Then I take negative 2.64 minus 6, and that's negative 8.64. Divide by 1, and that's going to keep me at negative 8.64.